Hello, everyone. Welcome to Live from America podcast. This is Hatem alongside me, the one and only Noam Dworman, owner of Comedy Cellar.
Hello, hello.
Hello. I'm going to Vegas tomorrow to see the Comedy Cellar again in Vegas. I haven't been. So next week we're gonna talk. I'm gonna give you guys a week to watch the Chris Rock special if you haven't already. But I'm
Oh
gonna
man,
give
it
you a
was
week.
so good.
Next week we're gonna discuss the Chris Rock special. So I don't want to ruin anything for those because it just came live. We taped this on Sunday, came live yesterday, and it was amazing. Um, and we'll discuss it next week. But this week we
Oh,
have
I'm
a
so
very
sad.
fun.
I'm
I
so
know.
sad. I'm not here for the discussion next week.
Why are we discussing it next week?
Huh?
I didn't see it, but I'm.
Oh, you didn't see. That's why I wanted to give time to you. You got to see it. It's just incredible.
It's
Right,
incredible.
Brendon? Did you see it?
It's super well done. Yeah,
Yeah.
it felt like Chris was in his like bigger and blacker energy.
Yeah.
Like that's how I was like, oh man, this is like Chris from like the late '90s.
Yeah.
Coming at us.
It was very well done, and it was it covered a lot of points, and it's the very first Netflix special that's live, so that was excellent. And you could have watched Chris Rock all the time practicing at the Comedy Cellar because he's there all the time.
Yep.
So, comedian Brendon Lemon is here. Hello, he lives in
Hey.
Lawrenceburg. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you again. Thanks for having me back, guys. I was really after the last time when I was in the dungeon downstairs, I was like, they might have banished me from the podcast, man.
I'm convinced that Brendon is a serial killer somehow.
I mean, just look at my apartment.
Well, Yasmine, if you see him last time, his background was just like he killed someone. But anyway, our guest of honor, human rights activist Yasmine Mohammed. She advocates for the rights of women living within the Muslim majority countries as well as like everywhere else. She's the founder of Free Hearts, Free Minds, which we'll discuss later. And her book, Unveiled, How Western Liberals Empower Radical Islam. It's a story, a memoir about, her growing up in a family that was very strict and forced to arrange marriage to a member of Al-Qaeda. And now she's here. She survived all this, and now she's going to tell us about it. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Hatem.
So, finally, it's so refreshing to have somebody can say my name. Actually, Noam does a pretty good job, but it took 25 years. So Yasmin, tell us a little bit about you first. The whole story quickly, so we can discuss how you get here.
Okay, I'll try and be as quick as possible. Essentially, my mom and dad met each other in university in Egypt, and they went to to San Francisco during the peace, love, hippie time of the 60s. And when they were there, they sort of diverged. My mom hated all of that stuff, and my dad just loved it. He totally embraced, all of that stuff. And so basically their marriage...
They were Egyptians, both of them?
No, my dad is from Palestine and my mom's from Egypt.
Okay.
And so basically they had moved to Canada, and that's where I was born. And when I was pregnant, when my mom was pregnant with me, that's basically when their marriage fell apart. And so my mom found herself alone with 3 kids in a new country, looking for community, looking for support. So she went looking to the local mosque, not because she was religious in any way, but just because she was looking for community. She was looking for other Arabic-speaking people, maybe some other Egyptians. And that's where she met this man who was a fundamentalist Muslim, and he was already married, already had 3 kids. But as some of you may know, in Islam, a man can have up to 4 wives. So he took my mom on as his second wife. And my mom became, at that point, what I call a born-again Muslim. She just jumped right into it with 2 feet, started wearing the hijab. It was all about, we have to learn Quran, we have to pray 5 times a day. She was like, music is forbidden, riding your bike is forbidden, swimming is forbidden, birthdays are forbidden, everything was haram, haram, haram.
Wait,
so
hold on. Why? I just had 2 questions real quick. Why is Islam cap at 4 wives?
Yeah.
Like, why is it like Yeah, like
Well,
that. It just seems like such a random number.
Well, just to be clear, which we will discuss later, there's a difference between when you say Islam does that and people think that Islam says
Islam
that.
does
It's
that.
a
Fair.
different,
Yeah,
so it's a
totally
different story.
fair.
So go ahead. Yeah, yes. I want to get to
Well,
the
according to the laws of many Islamic countries, the maximum is 4 because
Yeah,
that's what the
country.
sunnah is.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the sunnah, which is by the Prophet Muhammad, was 4. He said, I'm allowed to have 11, but you all are allowed to have 4.
Oh,
so
cool.
that's how that happened. Yeah.
Sweet.
Okay, once again, because we're gonna discuss the details of this, but I want to get your story first.
Yeah. So so everything became forbidden, everything became haram, and we ended up going to Islamic schools, taken out of public school, and hijab was put on me and on my sister. And like you mentioned, eventually, so what had happened was I was becoming too westernized, and so they dropped me off in Egypt to become, to get fixed by being in a Muslim majority country, which is a very common thing that happens, not just with Egyptian families, but with families with young girls from Pakistan, Somalia, Iraq, you name it. It happens all over. We get sent back for, retraining. And when I was there, I was being forced to marry my cousin. And so I did get engaged to him, like Islamically married, but we didn't actually get married yet. We didn't move in together. And I had said to my mom, like, can I just go back to Canada and say goodbye to my country before I have to stay in Egypt for the rest of my life? And she said, okay. And then when I went back to Canada, I said, like, unless you're going to duct tape my face and hands and feet, I'm not getting back on that plane. Like, there's no way I'm going back there. So at that point, it was like this. Now my mom felt like she needed to control me. I was this uncontrollable girl. She'd sent me to Egypt to get reprogrammed. I wasn't getting reprogrammed. I wasn't submitting properly. And so she chose a man who, I quote, is strong enough to control you. So they chose a terrorist, a man named Assam Marzouk, who is now in Egypt, in prison in Egypt, for being a member of Al-Qaeda. And I was married to him, full niqab, covered head to toe in black, basically imprisoned in the house, had a daughter with him. And when I held my little daughter in my hands, and at that point, him and my mom started talking about taking her to Egypt to get female genital mutilation done to her. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with that practice, but it's very common in some countries, one of them being Egypt. And that's when I felt like I need to get out of this house. I need to protect my daughter. There's no way I can let her live the same life I've lived. In fact, a life even worse than one that I've lived. And that's what propelled me to get away from him, get away from my family, start off on my own, go and get student loans, go to university, start my life from scratch. This is all detailed in the book. I'm really giving you the quick and dirty version.
Wow.
But yeah, essentially when I was in university, I took a course called History of Religions that allowed me to critically examine Islam for the first time. And also 9/11 happened at that time. So it was like I was bombarded both intellectually and emotionally. And I walked up. By the time I graduated from university, I was not calling myself a Muslim anymore.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy, man. So sorry for, are you on Canadian national?
Yeah, born in Canada.
Okay. So you didn't try to seek help when you were back there, like to leave the when you were in Egypt?
Seek help? You mean from the Canadian,
government or anything like that? Yeah.
No, I wasn't prepared to sever ties with my family at that point. I mean, I was like 17 years old, and it's a huge decision, to decide to, if you make that kind of decision, that's it. You're at that point in my life, I still really wanted my mom's approval, and I really wanted her to just love me for who I was, and I wanted to make her happy. It took a long time. It basically took me doing everything that she insisted. Marry the man that she wants me to marry, wear the niqab that she wants me to wear, allow him to beat me, allow him to rape me, do everything that she told me to do, take it as far as it could possibly go, because she kept on insisting that if I just listened to her, then I would know peace and I would know happiness. So I did. I listened to her as far as I possibly could. And then it finally dawned on me that there's no peace or happiness here. This is nothing but misery and darkness. And there was no way I was going to let my daughter live this life. So really, it was my daughter who was the catalyst and who saved my life, essentially.
Wow. That's it. This is like you're just such a strong woman to be able to go through all of this. This makes me feel like such a loser for like ever feeling like I had any difficulty, man. Like, it's amazing that you've been able to do that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brendon. It was just survival mode. And I stayed quiet for many years because I was very, very afraid, because leaving Islam, the punishment for that is execution. So I was very quiet. Also, my mom had already promised to kill me. And so I was very quiet about it for a very long time. It wasn't until just very recently, I don't know if you guys watched the infamous Bill Maher episode with Sam Harris and Ben Affleck.
Yep. When
Ben Affleck was calling them both racists and xenophobes and whatever. So that was the episode that made me finally speak up, because I felt like what Sam Harris and Bill Maher were saying was so true and so real and so honest and so needed to be said. And the fact that they were being silenced simply because they're white American men was so unfair. And so many victims were going to be silenced because these men with power were trying to speak up for them, and they were being silenced themselves. And so I thought, okay, here I am, brown-skinned Arab woman, and I'm going to say the same thing that these guys are saying. And so it'll be a little bit more difficult to shut me up with those kinds of slurs. And that's why I wrote my book.
Man, yeah, that's powerful. I'm also glad to hear that you also agree that white men's voices need to be raised.
Yeah, I don't know if Bill Maher is being silenced. Well, the thing is, like, so I want to talk about in general, like you denounced Islam and you said you're coming out, and it's fine. And a lot of people are becoming, leaving their religions, in every religion, and they speak about their personal experience. So obviously, you have a lot of trauma as well that going on, that you lived the actual events, so you have a lot. But I feel like there is a lot of also information that could be different. Like for example, if you like leave a religion, it's fine, but you felt that the need that you wanted to talk about why it's the wrong religion, correct?
I talk about the human rights abuses, especially against women. That's what I focus on. So I mentioned female genital mutilation just now. Child marriage is another problem.
About the Ben
Forced
Affleck
hijab.
part. The Ben Affleck.
Oh, so what happened? So the Ben Affleck point, what was happening there was they were talking specifically about, in Egypt, there was a survey that was taken, and the question was, should people who denounce Islam be executed? And 93% of the people in the country said yes. So currently, right now in Egypt, people who leave Islam are not executed.
Well, 93% of the people that took the survey, not 93% of the country. Right.
Well, yes, Hatem, obviously.
Yeah.
So 93% said yes, Muslims or people that denounce Islam should be executed. So as I said, currently in Egypt right now, people are not executed. So they were actually calling for the execution of people like me. Oof. And they also asked the question about homosexuality. Is it immoral? And again, I can't remember the exact number. I think it was like 86% or something like that said, yes, it is. So what Sam and Bill were talking about that day was, why don't liberals stand up for liberal values? Why do we refuse to speak up against people wanting to be killed because of their beliefs or persecuted because of their sexuality? But when it comes to Muslims doing that in Muslim majority countries, we're silenced.
So that's a great question. Why do you think so? Noam, what do you think? And then Brendon, why do you think? And then we'll go to Yasmine. Why do you think liberals are not speaking up? When it comes to stuff like that, or are they? Noam, what do you think?
I think that it's tracks kind of intersectionality mentality, that there's certain groups in the world that are considered to be on one side, and they will always get the benefit of the doubt, and a certain group said it won't be. So, you can say outrageous things about Christianity, and people say you should have a right to say those things about Christianity. But if you said 1/10 something bad about Islam, they would call you a bigot. And this is just the way the world is. I mean, there is some thing to the history of all these things which one can acknowledge without supporting it, which is, the world tends to line up in some way against people who have been traditionally victims of bigotry and racism. So you can't really knock that, but it leads to ridiculous double standards, which, unintended consequence here is, as she says, is that people are afraid to come out against female genital mutilation. I mean, who are you sticking up for there, So that's what I think.
Brendon.
I think it's really interesting because I think that a lot of liberals want the benefits of claiming values that they don't have to do anything to support, actually. Like, I think that it's a really easy virtue to be like, yeah, people, we need to treat everybody well, and we need to treat everybody equally, and we need to stand up for people who are not in positions of power or authority, and then as soon as there's a real actual hard case where something lines up that's like difficult, like, yeah, well, what about girls in these countries who are getting their genitals mutilated? That actually requires you to have like some executive decision making and really actually stand up for something. Suddenly that doesn't become so soft and easy to do. And I think that a lot of them would prefer just not to think about it, to be perfectly honest.
Like, I think that, what do you think? Yeah.
I totally agree with both of these gentlemen. And I just wanted to continue Brendon's thought and say that's what happened with Iran recently. The women in Iran have been burning their hijabs. They're being shot by the police because of the fact that they're burning their hijabs. And it took a while before people in the West kind of knew what to do, because they are trained to not say anything against dissent, don't say anything against hijab. And so suddenly when it was the Muslim women themselves, excuse me, that were against hijab, against forced hijab, against the Islamic regime, it took them a minute before they were sure what they could do, because they didn't want to be on the wrong side of history or something like that. And I feel like we overthink these things way too much. I feel like if there's a child getting their genitals mutilated, or if there's a girl being forced to wear hijab, otherwise she can't go to school, or otherwise she'll go to prison, or otherwise she'll be raped to death, then why are we looking at what religion is doing this to her?
I'm sorry, you know what? I mean, a non-Jewish child. I just want to stipulate that. Go ahead.
The women in Iran.
We like our genital mutilation. Thank you very much. Okay.
We'd like to keep it.
You don't do it to your females. It's very different than what's done to the men. But I'm sure you know that.
Yeah, I have two thoughts quickly. One is the women in Iran. It's just like it's a next level thing. I mean, if you live in that part of the world, you know that if you just do this, not only you, it's everyone in your family, everyone that you ever know, and everybody's just going to be gone. But here's the thing. So, and it's a very important question, for me, because first of all, I feel that Islam is a great religion. Okay. Obviously, like every other religion have a lot of, people misconception because of the way that I think Muslims and Islam is two different things, just like Christians, it's the people that think they take their own thoughts and put it. It has nothing to do. So in one hand, I see and I want to defend these rights. But on the other hand, I feel like it's also a way for a lot of people, including Bill Maher, is to try to always brush Islam with a certain thing. For example, the genital mutilation, this is not an Islamic problem. This is an African problem. 90% of the countries are Christian are doing that. It's also what happened in Islamic problem, but it doesn't happen all over it's a religion, 1.7 billion people. So sometimes there's a problem. And when we can, while you traumatized, while you went through a horrible experience and you're trying to help people that really need help, but on the other hand, I feel like some people also try to take it to the next level and just paint everything that Islam does with. So how do you, what's your thoughts on that? Let's go with the other.
So back to what I was saying previously, why are we even looking at the religion or the ethnicity of the people that are taking a razor blade to their daughter's genitals? I don't care what his skin color is or what her skin color is or what their skin color is. If it's a non-binary person, I could not care less who you are, what your religion is, what your belief system is, what your ethnicity is. It does not matter. For that to happen to a child is criminal. Whether it's being done by a Christian person or whether it's being done by a Muslim person. But that's where I focus my energy. Whereas there's other people that are too busy worrying about protecting Islam versus worrying about protecting the real human child. So that's where I come in with so much emotion and so much anger, because I was one of those real human children who was ignored. One of the things that I skipped over when I was telling you about my background was when I was 12 years old, I went to one of my teachers and I told him about what was happening at home. And that teacher went to the police, and the police took it to social services, and social services took it to family court. And there was this big, huge case. And in the end, they said, this kind of trauma that's happening to you, the way that you are being hung upside down in the garage and beaten and whipped because you're having male friends or because you're having non-Muslim friends, is totally acceptable because that's your culture. And some people from different cultures choose to discipline their children in different ways. And so this has always been the thorn in my side, and it continues to be today. This was in Canada, and trust me, this is not only in Canada. I have a podcast called Forgotten Feminists, where I just spoke to a woman named Dorothea, who is from Pakistani descent, who grew up in the United Kingdom, and the exact same thing happened to her. Wow. So what happens is the social services, the law enforcement, obviously the Rotherham gangs, I don't know if you've heard about that happening in the UK, journalists, politicians, everybody are so scared to speak up for the victims because they are too worried about protecting this religion of Islam.
You think
and so that is why the subtitle of my book is How Western Liberals Empower Radical Islam. Because instead of protecting those girls, instead of protecting those children, you're worried about protecting a nameless, faceless ideology.
Okay. But you think they don't, maybe they just don't care? That's how I feel. I feel a lot of times they don't care about this part of the world for me. Noam, what do you think?
Well, I think that I imagine, I'll tell you what I'm thinking as I'm listening, that for you, Hatem, you have a fondness for the religion of your childhood and you know no doubt the sweetness of it and the happiness of it and the moral teaching of it and all that, which, you know, almost every religion has some of that. And also there's a natural urge to protect your own from bashing by 3 other people on a podcast because you don't want people to see that. So I get all that. On the other hand, you know, I'm not that informed in it, but, you know, there's, as Yasmine is talking, and as you're talking, Hatem, in the back of my mind, I was thinking like, Jesus, I hope nobody bad sees them talking this way. They could get killed, you know? Now, I don't ever have that thought hearing anybody Jewish say whatever they want. So in some fundamental way, you have to acknowledge that some significant, some critical mass number of the 1.9 billion Muslims in the world are not keeping up with the trends towards openness. They are in some way more similar to Christianity of the age of the Crusades than they are to Christianity today or Judaism, which really doesn't have a history of that. We have other bad histories. We don't have a history of that. So both things I would say are true, and I do feel for you because I don't expect you to bash Islam, and I don't expect you to. I understand what it means to be human and want to defend these things. On the other hand, we know these things are true. I mean, even within the Arab world,
they are true in every religion as well. No,
they're not true in every religion.
Let me just
wait, stop right there. That's not true. They are not true in every religion.
It didn't happen. The church didn't kill anybody.
Yes, I said hundreds of years ago.
And right now, it didn't happen.
No, nobody is going on TV and saying anything bad about the church and worried about,
but that's exactly my point. This has nothing to do
if
with
you were to poll a Christian country, what percentage of you think that somebody should be executed for leaving Christianity?
But here's my point.
It would poll close to zero.
No, but here's what I'm trying to say. Again, this has nothing to do with the religion, has to do with the people. The Muslim, the people that think that they get it. And just
whatever
to go back, I want to say something quickly. I appreciate what he's saying, but it's not about. I actually have a lot of in common with Yasmine in a way. It's not that this is my childhood religion, and this is no, it's not. It's not that. It's actually when I grew up and I saw a lot of fucked up stuff going on. I was like, this cannot be right. This is
I don't agree with
religion. So I studied more. I did it in a way, that was like I want to understand why people can marry for women. That doesn't sound right. Why this, why that?
Sounds right to me. Yeah. Anyway, listen, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I really don't agree with you because first of all, you can read these outrageous verses in the Quran and outrageous verses in the Bible.
I don't know what, can you point to outrageous verse?
I will Google after we finish. I'll let you talk and I'll Google something. But
can I point to an outrageous verse?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Chapter 4, verse 34 instructs men that if they fear disobedience or arrogance from their wives, what should they do, Hatem? You tell us. What should a man do?
Tell me.
Beat them. Idrabuhunna. Beat them. Beat your wives. If you fear arrogance or disobedience from them.
And there's things about being gay, about being Jewish. There's all kinds of things. But listen,
all the religion. What is about being gay and being Jewish?
Hatem, just
in the Quran.
I can answer that.
Hatem, please let me make my point.
Yeah.
All the religions have in their texts outrageous things. All the religions actually are bad. It's the people actually who have become good. So when you say it's not the religion, it's
it's the opposite.
No. The religions, every religion has text which people have used throughout history.
That's the magic word. People have used exactly that. It's exactly
verbatim, that. And it is actually a stretch sometimes to see how Jews and Christians cling to their Bible and have reinterpreted these pretty obvious horrific statements to mean something other than what they pretty obviously mean because they love their religion so much.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
But whatever it is, just like communism is supposed to be great in theory, whatever it is, at some point you have to say, this is what it is. This is going on in the world. Muslim people are afraid to speak up. Muslim homosexuals are afraid. Muslim women. This is true. And we hope, I guess, and I'm trying to speak respectfully here, that Islam is due for a reformation on the order of what Christianity went through, where they shed some of these practices, whether it's religion or the people, whatever it is, and move into, God forbid, the modern world on some of these ideas.
First of all, it's not a lot about.
Hatem, I'm saying that with respect.
No, I know.
I want to bring this up on the podcast.
I'm very open-minded. That's why, I'm having Yasmine, I'm having people a lot that, they announce Islam and because I want their voices to be heard, and there is a lot of people speaking out, and there's a lot of people. I personally know a lot of girls that Egyptian that fighting for a lot of things. But my point again, Islam and Muslim are two different.
Okay, can I respond to your Islam and Muslim Hatem?
And then you can go.
Okay.
Go ahead. People read something and they use it in a certain way, and that happens in every religion. Religion is a religion. It's your relationship with God. It's not supposed to be what you do to other people. It's not supposed to be anything, but people take it and try to use it to their own good. That's my point. So the problem are the people. That's why, in the Middle East, the culture of the people, either the Jews, either the Christian, like if you find the Egyptian Christians, it's the same. They're culturally, they're very close, much just like the Muslim Christian. I think it's a problem with the people, not the book itself. That's what I'm trying to. Go ahead, Yasmine.
Okay. So let's go back to your point about how there are a lot of Egyptian feminists fighting. And you're absolutely correct. They are. They're very courageous women, and I support them 100%. One of the things that they're fighting for is the criminalization of domestic violence.
Yeah.
And they're failing. They're failing because of that Quran ayah that I just quoted to you.
What,
so when they try to say, let's criminalize a man beating his wife, they are being pushed back against by mullahs who are saying to them, no, what Allah has made halal, you cannot make haram. And the exact same thing is happening in Pakistan and Iran and all over the Muslim majority world. When women start fighting for their rights, when they want to increase the age of marriage, for example, they're told, no, we can't do that. If the Prophet himself married a 6-year-old, who are you to say that that's wrong? You can't say that. And so when people are trying to progress the religion, or sorry, not the religion, when people are trying to progress as Muslims in Muslim societies, the religion keeps on pulling them back again.
But
because
this
the
is
religion,
again my point. You keep saying the religion. It's the people.
Yes, Hatem, listen to me, please. The religion is fossilized in 1400 years ago. So when there is an ayah that says something, that was written 1400 years ago, correct? And so when people try to bring things forward to this century, there's like this boomerang. So I agree, the Muslim people are fighting. Obviously, we can see this in Iran today. They are fighting for their rights and they are fighting for their freedom. Feminists, even in Saudi Arabia, are burning their hijabs, burning their niqabs. But at the end of the day, when people can quote religion to them and say to them, you are a bad Muslim and you're going to burn in hell for eternity because you're not listening to this ayah right here, to this scripture and this word of Allah. So it is exactly what Noam said. It's the Muslim people are the good ones. They are the reason why.
I disagree.
They are the reason. They are the ones who are choosing to ignore those verses. Some Muslims don't choose to ignore the verses, and you end up with ISIS.
You see, that's why you see how you make that comparison. If you believe, then the ISIS. If you're not, this is what I think. Anyway, let's go to a real Muslim. Brendon, what do you think?
Actually, yeah, I grew up in Metro Detroit, so a lot of my best friends were and still are Muslim, practicing Muslims. I had 2 mosques in my community and started reading the Quran when I was in high school a little bit. So I'm not your average white man when it comes to this topic, but I think I think it's important because like it. You know, Sam Harris does have this quote that I like where I think he was quoting somebody else actually, but if you got rid of all religion, good people would still be good people, bad people would still be bad people.
Very true.
But the thing that religions do and can do is enable bad people to look like good people according to the religion, and they enable good people to do bad things by encouraging them and pushing them. I don't think like when Yasmine is talking about her daughter and is like, I realize I have to get out of this for her. She's going to have a horrible life. Like, think of how many mothers, not just Muslim mothers, but mothers in any kind of religion around the planet think that and then go, but I have to because the holy book says so. Because
no, but that's the thing. The whole book does not say so. It's once again, it's my problem or my point is like, if you don't want to follow, it's fine. Like, I'm totally for it. A lot of people that I know don't like it, and if you do, it's fine. But you can't be all the way. You can and denounce the other side. Say, oh, if you read this, then you're ISIS. If you read this, then you're that. I'm not totally worried about Islam because there's 1.7 billion and it is the most growing religion right now. So that says something. Every percentage, every problem that we have is very little, just like any other religion. So I'm not really worried about that. And as I said,
just like any other religion. That's the only thing that bothers me. It's not like any other religion. I will accept everything you're saying. I don't know how to untangle the people from the teaching and the literal book, whatever it is. And it's fine if you feel more constructive to do that. But if I
read the Quran and I came up with a conclusion about something, and somebody else read the same verse and come up with a conclusion of another thing, this is about the people, right?
Well, yeah, but can I just respond to that? You're talking about in a free secular society.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. In 15 Muslim majority countries today, you can be executed for being gay. In 12 Muslim majority countries, you can be executed for denouncing Islam. There are countries
So,
like Afghanistan and
yes,
Iran
I
where
agree with
girls
you
are forced to
100%.
wear hijab. So these
But you
these,
just said it. It's the
can
people.
can I just finish talking, please?
Go ahead, sure. Sorry.
So
He treats
those
all his wives that
laws,
way. Go ahead.
those laws
Shut
are
up.
made by Sharia scholars. Those are Islamic law. That's where
Those
that's
are
why they
people.
have.
Once
Why do they
again,
have?
people.
Okay, that's why there's 15 countries that have the exact same law.
But that's why there's
Right?
another 1.7
So what you're trying to
billion
tell
that
me
don't.
is there's just an inordinate amount of Muslims that like to kill gay people. You prefer to
Absolutely.
go with that. You prefer to go with
No,
that
it's
rather
not
than
amount
admit
of
that there's a
people.
hadith that says kill them,
No, there's
both the
none.
person, both.
There's none. Show me.
Hatem, I got to tell you, I sort of understand your point, but I think it's a little bit desperate.
How is it desperate?
I'm going to tell you
because you're talking about, you want to talk about it when you say Islam, you talk about Afghanistan and Iran. Why don't you talk about Albania or Turkey? Like, why do you have to go with a culture that?
Because what I'm trying to show you, Hatem, is that these laws come from Sharia. These laws come from Islam.
But they don't.
Whether you like it or not.
No, I study it, so I know.
But Sharia, I'm glad you did. But at the end of the day, these Sharia scholars that are leading the Sharia laws in these Muslim majority countries studied it a lot more than you did, because that's what they do for a living. And that's why they're the ones that are running these governments and running these countries.
That's again making my point clear. It's the people. Thank you for that. That's
okay. So what you're saying to me, is that all of these people, all of the Sharia scholars are just murderous.
No,
homophobes.
Not all of them. Most of them that in these countries, in the 12 countries out of the 1.7 billion,
So
that's
you
again,
would,
my point
prefer
is
to believe.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if you're a gay kid in one of those countries, do you think it's going to make you feel better to be like, oh, don't worry, it's not the religion that wants you killed. It's not your government, or it is your government that wants you killed.
We don't have problem with gay people.
Doesn't matter.
In South, we don't. In other countries.
So
are we talking about Islam, or are we talking about Southern America right now? I'm trying to show you. I'm trying to show you that it's the people that are good. That it's the people that choose to ignore these laws of their religion. And it's the people that say, we still want to progress and we want to move forward.
And that's also my point. And those people, there's also bad ones, just like there's good ones. So have nothing to do really with the religion. It's the people.
It's impossible for you to say to me, but I completely disagree with you.
Sure, yeah.
Because I was one of those people. I was a true believer. I was dressed in niqab head to toe. I was married to a man who believed. Not
actually in the religion.
I was married to a man who believed that if he killed infidels, he would go straight to heaven.
All right, look. For years and years and years, the Jews were persecuted, killed, even through the Nazis, because of the Christian teaching that the Jews killed Christ. Does the Bible teach that? Does it? This became de facto what Christianity believed. Regardless if you could prove, say, no, it says right here, but it didn't matter. Nobody cares what fine print you turn up. At some point, you have to be reasonable and say that in a huge book that is open to many interpretations, it is what it's become.
This is the reality.
And that's exactly what I'm saying. It's the people. It became because of the people. That's my point.
Whatever it is. And you're splitting hairs here.
I'm not.
Because if somebody were to come on the show and cast these same aspersions against the Arabic people, you would have your umbrage at that too, and be defending the Arabic people, and you'd have.
You know me better than anybody. You know that in Islam and in Arabic, I take more of against than with. You know that. You know me for years.
But for whatever reason, and I don't know.
And one of the reasons I have Yasmine is because I'm a fan of her organization, because I know a lot of people my friends that suffer.
I don't know enough about Albania, or I don't know enough about Indonesia. I don't
Turkey.
know. Turkey is not a great place.
Turkey is a Muslim place.
I don't
It's a
know that
very
much about
bad
Turkey,
example,
but
Hatem.
I have a feeling if I looked into Turkey, you're going to see some violence against women in Turkey. I have a strong feeling.
But if you look anywhere, you're going to find this is a problem.
Anyway,
so
at a higher level. I mean, in Pakistan, you have honor killings, and you have all this.
So once again, that's my exact point. It's the people. It's where you go because of the people of that country. You know, when people come here to the United States, they act in a certain way because the laws of the country, because the culture of the country, because the people of the country. That's what I'm.
Okay, well then you know what? How about this?
The laws.
How about this? How about this? Wait. Let me say. Then it's long past time for the overwhelming majority of imams, is that the right way to make this clear that they don't want to have it, and I don't hear them doing it.
Well, they did.
You hear about
after 9/11. How many?
You hear some flaky imam, down in Soho. I met that guy, who says blah blah blah. But he's a flower child guy. But I'm talking about the real deals that have big mosques throughout the world who parrot this stuff, and they do it. This is the important point. They are scholarly. They're not misquoting the Quran. They're not bullshitting about the Quran. They are reading chapter and verse of the Quran, word for word, and they're using, and it becomes very easy to listen to what they're saying and say, yeah, that's what it teaches. And they say, go home and read it yourself if you think I'm lying. And you can say, I mean, it's there. But again, I want to repeat what I said before. It's there in the Christian Bible too.
I'll give you one of the examples.
It's there in the Old Testament too.
He is the biggest scholar in the world in Islam, and he says if you listen to him, he will explain everything. And so there's a lot of people, that try. Listen, I'm not saying the whole point.
I'm sorry.
I'm not saying that there is no problem with every religion, every culture. What I'm trying to say is it's because of the people. I have a lot of people that suffer, that I know personally, that lives either here or in the Middle East or whatever, and I want them to be free. If they don't want to be part of the religion, they can say whatever they want, they can leave, no problem. I want them to talk more. I want them to say whatever they have to say. But the only thing that I'm saying is, like, if you want to say something, just be able to not say the other part is 100% wrong. There is a middle. There's a right, there's a left, but there is a middle, But
you know what? Can I zoom out and say something else? It's very fashionable now to blame basically anybody on planet Earth that is living in a way which we, for lack of a word, pity or to blame it on the West. And I don't buy it for a second. And give you a little example. You won't have to be defensive about Islam. It's very, very common. It doesn't even get questioned to say, well, America was built on slavery. All our prosperity is because of slavery, right? I mean, people say this without giving it a thought. And they say, well, but wait a second. Every country in the world that has capitalism is wealthy. Many of these countries never had slavery. Japan was destroyed a little bit before I was born. Now they're wealthy. South Korea was destroyed. Now they're wealthy. This means zero correlation between slavery and wealth of a country. As a matter of fact, the correlation is that most of the countries that have had slavery and continue to have slavery are dirt poor. So that's exactly
my point again.
No, my point is this, that everything these days is blamed on the West, colonialism, slavery, whatever it is, as if there's no agency for in some way the distortion of the Quran is blamed on the West.
I just was blaming the East this whole time.
Whatever it is. And I'm saying but people can wrap themselves and make and allow themselves to feel better about their people that they love based on these narratives. But in the end, the world is moving away from each other.
Yeah,
in a way which is not going to come out well for the people they're moving away from, and they will eventually get their revenge on the people who are moving away. So it's dangerous as hell, even for the wealthy people in the world. And at some point, someone's gonna have to stop playing these semantic games, whether it's the people or it's Islam, and say, you know what? Anywhere in the world that is not free and doesn't respect pluralism, freedom, expression, all that corny stuff, they are destined to violence, gloom, murder, sexism, rape.
And I agree with you 100%. 100%, and that's why.
That is the bottom line, and this is really where liberalism.
Okay,
hold on,
so
this is really where the liberal world
yes
has lost its way. Hold on, let me finish. Because the liberal world has lost its nerve to defend liberal values.
Exactly.
And that's where she started, and she's right. And you want to play this semantic game. If you win this argument about whether it's the people or the religion, nothing is going to change for the benefit of the people, however you want to call it. These women are still going to suffer.
Well, that's my point. That's what I'm trying to do. That's why I'm trying to help. But my point is, everybody trying to blame something. Blame the people that commit these crimes. Don't label them with something, because these people are horrible.
They have an ideology.
No.
Yeah.
No, in reality, these people try to say, hey, I'm a police officer. Hey, I'm an imam. I'm a priest. No, blame the people that do their horrible actions, And I've seen those horrible actions firsthand. So yeah, no, I know. But I never looked at somebody and said, oh, he did this to me because he's Jewish, or because he's
There's
Christian,
only one,
because he's Muslim,
Hatem,
or because he's American. No,
Hatem,
he is a bad person.
Hatem, there's only one organization that has the ability. It's not about blaming the people. It's about changing the people. Only Islam can do that, because they listen to Islam.
Well,
so
that's what I'm trying to tell you.
These people will not change until Islam becomes clearly known.
It's clearly known, but there is no outlet, and that's what I'm trying to tell you is this: we live in a world right now. If you trying to find, like Islam is the worst religion, you're gonna have 10 scholars that can agree and prove it, and you have 10 scholars that you can say no. You have the right to look. It's your ignorance right now, in my opinion, is a choice. You can look and listen to all opinions. My problem. Listen, again, I'm from a part of the world, and I have personal friends that either died or suffered. And that's why at the end of the day, Yasmine's like, I care about her work, and that's why I'm a fan of her work. Opinions and the debate and all that, it's good to know. It's good to talk. But at the end of the day, everyone should have the same person. It's like the people that suffer right now, we are in luxury sitting doing a podcast. We have thousands of people listening, and we're having fun in our own home while people are suffering. I know these people, and she tried to help, I try to help. But what I'm trying to say is, we need to hold people accountable. People that do this should not be.
Yeah, and I want to make this point too, because I think this gets into. I want to return to this point, because when you say we need to hold people accountable, part of the accountability that's not happening is because there's a religion that's taking off in the West, and that's this kind of liberalism that's enabling a lot of people who otherwise we would maybe hold accountable.
I agree with you, but I think we should solve the problem from within. Like, a lot of people should come out and speak, and talk and correct stuff, which they do, but they don't have enough outlets. But the most famous imam right now is doing a lot of things. People like Yasmine, like me, like, even though we have different opinions, but we're trying to, in one way, we need to help the people. And the other way, we need to change in the East, and then the West need to be supportive by stop being,
and look, I want to say, I've been around Islamic people my whole life. I've never known any rapists or anybody that I knew was beating anybody up, or anybody who blew anything up, or whatever it is.
Yep.
So
well, we're trying to keep it secret from you.
Yeah, in that sense, Hatem is 100% right. However, I will say, and Hatem will agree with me, I have known people who are sympathetic to these actions.
Absolutely, 100%. I know people that's so ignorant in my, neighborhood where I grew up, so ignorant that they know. But again, I blame the education system. Like, Yasmine grew up and we were talking before the show how she, lived in parts of the world, like in the Gulf and also in Egypt. And these parts, like, it's different culture, but they have so much in common. It's so, like, everybody is covered, and then the nightclubs are downstairs. It's just so fucked up in a lot of ways. But that doesn't mean, again,
like, there's a kind of duality, like there's a shadow.
Yeah, but again, 1.7 billion people, it's a very small percentage. But what sells in the news, what sells with Bill Maher, is attacking, not try to solve. You see, for Yasmine, I appreciate her, because even though whatever we have different opinions, at the end of the day, her work is actually helping people. I know a lot of my friends, the activists, and Yasmine, I want to introduce it to them later, but they do a lot of work. They connected with the government in Egypt, and they disannounce not Islam, or they're Christian, or they're not even Egypt. But the point is, they try to help the people, and that's what I care about. Opinions our opinions. At the end of the day, I think everybody should research and do their own homework about, you know, certain things. But I don't blame when I don't say if there is an attack by Christian person, I'm not gonna say, oh, this is Christian extremist. No, actually, it's not. It's just an extremist, crazy person. Has nothing to do. Why do I put Christian or Muslim or Jewish in the front of the name? Because it sells. That's the truth. You know, that's the truth. So,
I think there's something to that, but I think that in any situation in which the ideology becomes more important than the people, I think it's important to blame and point out the ideology.
Absolutely. And who puts the ideology? Who explains it? Like I went to school when they said this is bad and this is good. But my parents told me, no. This is not good. This is what it says. Read your own.
Okay.
Go ahead, Yasmine.
Can we just pause here for a moment?
Yes.
Because that is exactly what I was trying to say to you. That it is the people themselves. So the religion is a barrier to the progress that the people are trying to attain. So what your parents did there is they said to you, don't listen to the scholars, don't listen to the Islamic teachers, listen to me. And so what your parents were doing there was they were making you a better person than your religion teaches.
No.
Right?
It's not what I said. What I said is they told me don't listen to these scholars, listen to those scholars. You know what I'm saying? They didn't say
Hatem, don't you understand how silly?
They told me look at the different positions.
Hatem, you believe the religion teaches X. They believe the religion teaches Y. You think it's those bad people. I mean,
I don't think that religion should teach anything. I think a religion is your relationship with God. It shouldn't be in your life. You know what I'm saying? It should be in your.
I agree. We're on the same page.
But anyway,
that's fine. Let's just move on past this.
Yeah, we debate this forever, but
you're not going to. Hopefully, I've planted some seeds for you to think of. But you know, I think that the point that Noam made was a really valid one. And it's the reality. So stop trying to look at what is the real Islam, what is the true Islam, which interpretation is correct or whatever.
Why?
Just look at the reality.
When you
just look at the reality. Hatem, please. Just look at the reality of how Muslim people are living around the world and be concerned about that as opposed to being concerned about defending the religion. Defend the people.
Well, first, you can't question what I do for people because I do more than a lot of people do.
She's not questioning what you do. Come on now. She's not questioning anything you're doing for people.
She just said, I care about
Come on.
I'm talking about in this conversation that we're having here.
I understand that.
Your main concern is to defend the religion.
No. My main concern is make it clear to the listeners. And I think that this is our job is everybody should take their point of view and they can do the research. Is like, if you want, is to hold people accountable. Don't look for something and paint it. It sells more if you are, oh, I hate Islam, I hate Christianity. I said it sells more. It's the good, true crime story sells more. Number one in Netflix right now is
okay. Let me ask you this.
That's the bad things.
Let me give you an analogy. America has a constitution. There's drastically different interpretation of what that constitution means. There was a time when people thought the constitution meant you could have Jim Crow and black people shouldn't use the same water fountains. And now, miraculously, those same words stand exactly for the opposite. And in any particular time in history, people say that's not the Constitution. That's blah 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 blah. That's I'm comparing it obviously to the words of the religion. The point is, whatever was being done in the name of the Constitution, that's what mattered. America was what it did at the time in the name of its Constitution. When America used its Constitution to do unspeakably horrible things to black people, that is what the Constitution was. Doesn't matter that you could say that's not the Constitution. Because in real life it was the Constitution.
My whole
point, because the people in charge who got to say what the Constitution meant were not doing podcasts.
The people in charge. The people in charge. Keyword that I've been trying to say the whole time.
And to separate them,
then
it was only an obstacle to reform rather than a impetus for reform. This technical separation at the time of Jim Crow. Well, that's not what the Constitution. Who cares what you think what the Constitution says? The Supreme Court is using this to do this to black people, and you want to split hairs about what? Like, we have to change this.
Well,
that's what I find the argument thing, and I want to say it again. even went more along this than I want to, because there's nothing more emotional than these issues to people. And I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And I don't think it should be emotional. No, it's not just you. It's people we know, whatever it is.
Listeners. Yeah, everybody.
Yeah, but I think I don't think people should be moved by emotion. I think, when you see, and I think it's very healthy argument, because I think the one thing that you're going to do after this is you're going to try to question everything. And I'm a kind of person that I listen and I'm able to change my mind if I want to. And before I say something, I try to study
even from a woman.
yeah. So, but again, there is a war.
Notice how he didn't respond.
He didn't answer.
Well, I think my actions once again speaks for itself. I can be I can do the things that I've done and I do, or speaks for itself, and it helps more than anybody that done. So I answer that question, but
I think I just want to take I want to take just a second also to say, like, Yasmine is like, this is kind of an amazing that you're in this in this position, because not only you have to deal with anger from people in the Muslim world, but you have to deal with all of these liberals also who probably hate, just like Ayaan Hirsi Ali has to deal with this stuff. It's like you kind of amazingly make yourself a bunch of enemies on that side, and those are supposed to be the people who are supporting everybody.
And I think it's even harder for her that she get hate from her own people, and that's a big problem for me. I think that people should just have a conversation like you and I are having. But at the end of the day, we can have coffee, we can talk, we can laugh, I can help you with your work, you can help me with the work, because at the end of the day, it works that counts.
Is there a word, infidels? I mean, is there's such a thing as infidels, right?
Infidel?
Yep. Infidel, the concept of infidel, that's not made up, right? That is part of the religion.
For each religion.
Yes.
Which religion he's talking about?
No,
like kuffar is the word in Arabic.
What is it?
Kuffar, kufr.
Oh yeah. Well,
yeah.
It's
so in somewhere this is real, that you're not. It's not like the religion is a religion that has a concept of infidels. It's not a religion that says, yeah, sure, say whatever you want. I don't know about a Jewish concept of infidel.
Well, I'll tell you one example, and then we can move on, because again, in Quran says if you kill one person, you will never ever be a Muslim. That's just like it depends how you want to see.
How do they define person?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good one.
I'm not kidding.
Again, it's my point that I've been trying to make this whole time, and I think the listeners got it, is people should be accountable for what they do. Those people, you can paint and brush them as, a Muslim terrorist did that because it's going to sell more, it's going to do more,
terrorist in the name of Islam, how's that?
Or whatever, or Christian or Jewish, this is what's going to do. At the end of the day, it's the people,
This is from the Quran.
I do think you have a point about like this labeling and like how the media does this though, Hatem, because I feel like look, I'm from Michigan. I got members of my family who absolutely were thinking about kidnapping the governor. And I know that, like, right. I've got people who are like way off on one side, and not one time has the media ever called those people terrorists. And it's absolutely true that they are. You try to go terrorize people, literally, like by hanging outside of their, the governor's mansion or whatever. It's not. The media doesn't want to label them that.
Hold on. Let me ask: Is this a correct quote from the Quran? Surah 5:33. They shall be slain or crucified or have their hands and feet cut off. Slay the infidels.
You said yes without even listening to the rest of it.
I know it off by heart.
Hold on.
I can tell you the next verse.
Slay the infidels wherever you find them, and lie in wait for them, and establish every stratagem of war against them. Surah promises paradise to whoever cuts off the head of an infidel. Now, again, you can find. I don't know if you can find anything that bad in the Christian Bible, but you find similar type thing.
This very one, I like what you chose to.
Is it real?
You started from what part?
All right, but is that
the Quran part? The part that's in the Quran.
Is that a real?
But which part? Why didn't you get the whole story? You have to understand what Quran is to be able to do stuff like this. First of all, I can share with you a few things right now in the Bible said about beating women. Since
didn't I say that? Didn't I say that 20 times?
About the part. But the part you were saying, so you have to understand, Quran have three.
Listen,
okay,
all religions are sexist and misogynist and are garbage, from my opinion. So bringing me examples from Christianity isn't going to help, because, like I said, I just care about the woman herself. I don't care about the
do too,
religion
but
or the ethnicity of the
make
person
sure
who's
that the
beating her.
information is up for everybody, that all religion does. No, to your point, you have to understand what Quran is. Quran have three things. One is teaching forever, and then specific story for a specific war or a specific thing, and then something that happened at that time that they were quoting of history. What you were referring to, if you heard, I encourage you, if you want to take a part of, and you're smarter than this, that if you take one part, it's like there's a part in the Quran, it's a joke in Muslim world that says, don't ever pray, but it says before that, if you are drunk, don't ever pray. But people say, oh, look, and the Quran says it, don't ever pray, so we're not going to pray. Don't take a part of it and just be like, oh, this is the story.
I wasn't going to do this, but now I have to do it. So that quote that you started where you said, a Muslim who kills one person, it's as if they have killed all of mankind. That's actually the true quote, not that they will never be Muslim. That's the one half of the ayah. The other half says, except for the infidels. Then, no, Hatem, please go back to your Quran. It's chapter 5.
It's not mine, but thank you. Yeah, I do.
Okay. Well, do you have one?
Oh, I do. Yes.
Okay. So go to your Quran and look it up and read the next verse. And it says to cut off their hands and feet on opposite sides. So people always choose half the quote and they don't.
You're the one choosing half the quote right now because that was a specific story. Kind of like.
All right, hold on. This is important for next week, Hatem. Will you find that? Will you find that quote in an English translation of the Quran that you respect? Send it to me before the show, and we will tell the listeners what it does or doesn't say.
Okay, just like that.
Wait, is that a deal?
Women.
Is that a deal?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay,
just like marrying 4 women. In the Quran says, and you can marry up to 4 women if you can treat them equally. And then it says, and no matter what you do, you can never treat them equally. What does that mean? It means you cannot marry 4 women. That's what it means.
But when we go back to the reality is polygamy is very common. Sure.
Again,
so, and the reason why the people are doing it is because they have justification. The reason why I was being raped by my husband was because he has Islamic justification. The reason why I was being beaten by my husband is because he has Islamic justification. I don't think that Muslim people are all sociopaths and that they are all just going to go around being homophobes and they're all just going to go around beating their wives and raping their wives just because they feel like it, or going around stabbing infidels, or going around beheading teachers. I think that they're doing that because they truly do believe that's what makes them good people. They have been poisoned by an ideology. And that can happen with any religion. And I'll give you another example. If you have a child of a Jehovah's Witness parents, and that child is going to lose their life if they don't get a blood transfusion, and the parents refuse and they say, no, it's against our religion for this child to have a blood transfusion. Those parents are not sociopaths. Those parents are not horrible people who want to kill their daughter. Those are parents who are true believers, and they think that following their religion makes them good people and it means that their daughter is going to go to heaven. So the religion has forced them to do something inhuman. And I think that's what happens with a lot of Muslims as well. They are truly good people. But when their ideology tells them the best of the best people are the ones who die as martyrs in, dying for Allah, then they believe that that's what they need to do.
And once again, I'm saying that it's the people and their understanding of the main, because I read the same thing and I don't understand it the same way. A lot of people that I know, that's a lot of scholars that I listen to, they read the same thing, they don't understand. Yes, there are bad people. Yes, there are good people. They understanding of the Bible or
it's really too bad that Allah, who is so powerful and can create mountains and universes, couldn't write a book clearly enough for all humans to understand it.
But that's actually the whole
drop the mic.
That's actually the point of religion, is believing something that's not there. But again, that's a different conversation. My point, the whole point that I'm trying to make, and I've been trying to make, is what's matter is the work, helping these people, and when hold people accountable to what they do without crushing them, not you, I'm saying in general, with a certain thing. Oh, they're Muslim, they're Muslims, and that's why the whole idea of religion is that at the end of the day, you're gonna know what's right, what's wrong. But you cannot say, not you, I'm saying in general, this is, the Muslim teaching. It's his understanding of the teaching, the people, not the book itself. That's my point.
I do agree with you, but I do agree with you. And this is why I'm part of a coalition called the Clarity Coalition, which is made up of Muslims, ex-Muslims, Jews, Christians, atheists, it doesn't matter, a whole bunch of people. We all work together against the forces of political Islam, against Islamists.
There you go. There you go.
So what I want to explain to you is that all of those Muslim people that I work with are exactly what you described there. However, they don't deny that this reality exists. They don't deny that this scripture does give justification for a lot of horrible things, and a lot of people use it in that way. We can't just blame the people. You have to recognize too that the scripture is also to blame.
So what I did is
and that's back to Noam's point at the beginning when he talked about Islam needing a reformation in the same way Christianity did. Because right now it is in the same place that Christianity
again, will give power to another people, the same people that reformed it the first time.
Yeah, but hopefully the people who don't want to throw gay people from buildings.
Yeah, but it doesn't say that. All you need to do, same thing happened in Midwest. So, we can't, it's a culture, it's not religion. But my point is, yes, it's the people. You can blame in their understanding of the book, but not, this is their problem. This is how they understand the book. The religion should be between you and God, and relationship between you. It shouldn't be anything else. And people, they want to be in the religion. They don't want to be in religion. Whatever they want to do, they have the right to 100%. Yasmine should be free to travel wherever she wants, and nothing happened to her.
That's great.
She should get an outlet to talk as much as possible. She say her opinion, and people think about it, and everybody make their own mind. But at the end of the day, for me, even if somebody that I disagree with you, I'm a fan of the work. Because at the end of the day, if we save one child, if we save one thing, this is what matters, to me. So the last few minutes, I want to talk about how you can, again, sorry about the debate. I usually hate debating and stuff like that because I think but I think it was a healthy argument. But I want to know, like, people that need help and what can they do? First of all, you have a podcast, and also you have, your organization. So, regardless of, like, I don't know if I mentioned this before, and I hate to bring it a lot, but I had a heart transplant, before. And I tell people, when you're dying and they tell you you have a heart, it doesn't matter if the person giving you a heart is Jewish or Muslim or Christian or atheist, gay or straight, or black or white, it doesn't matter. All it matters is that human, and so that's what humanity should get to. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. Your relationship is with God, but anything else, it doesn't matter. So people that need help, how can they reach you? What can you do for them? What can people do to help your organization and all that?
Before I get into my organization, Hatem, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing that with us. And thank you for sharing your perspective. I know this might have looked like an argument from the outside, but really it was just healthy discourse. And I really do appreciate hearing your perspective. And I think that you are a lovely human being. And I wish that all Muslims and all humans were as lovely as you are. I think that what you just said now is exactly the core of the issue. At the end of the day, we're all human beings, and we should all look out for each other and care for each other regardless. And I'm 100% on board with that.
Noam keeps saying that I got a gay heart, but it's okay.
Well, see, now you'll dress better, and that's why you got nice hair.
Bro, we could do a lot worse than having a heart from a drag queen, man. They are in shape.
Yasmine, you live in New York? Or I didn't hear.
She's in Canada.
No, I'm Canadian.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
You have to come visit
cold
them.
north.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I come very often, as much as I can. So about my organization, it's called Free Hearts, Free Minds. And I started it because
I'll have the link in the description, by the way, for people. I have the link to the description so people can follow you. Make sure you do.
Thank you. So the reason why I started it was because, like I explained to you guys, how difficult it was for me to get out of the circumstances that I was in. And that's being a straight woman in a secular country. So I started to think about how there are so many more people out in the world that have it way worse than I did. I barely survived. So I can't even imagine somebody who is gay in a Muslim majority country, or somebody who has denounced Islam in a country where legally they could be executed. And so that's why I started Free Hearts, Free Minds. It's an organization that support free hearts, meaning gay people, and free thinkers, meaning free minds. And so it's an organization that's run completely on donations, and we basically help people get through their religious trauma, give them tools to help them survive and navigate the difficult situations that they're in. So if you go to our website, it's got a lot more details about our 8 sessions and what we do in each session. And you can also click on testimonials and read from people from all over the world who we have helped. And I'm incredibly proud of my organization. And I hope that you will all look into it.
Definitely. And imagine, like with Yasmine, like she's educated, she speaks. Imagine that poor people, the ignorant people, the people they don't even have options, There's countries, there's no internet, there's stuff like that. So that's why, I hope that we can make a difference, even one person, right?
Yeah.
But
you are incredibly well spoken, Yasmine.
Oh,
it's
thank you.
it's kind of amazing. I'm looking forward to your 1 hour.
That sounds a little condescending.
yeah.
No, I actually really appreciate that, because I always feel like I babble and that I'm being incoherent. So that's a great compliment.
No, you're like
Thank
really,
you.
you're really well poised. Like, I feel like I might invite you to speak at my wedding. Like,
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's the thing is, like, I think at the end of the day, even with argument, with debate, like if you have a chance to be a part of organization like yours that can help people, your background, it's like, I like how like liberals only support, or Democrat only support Democrat. Like, dude, just like do whatever. I pay money to Jewish people. It doesn't matter. The Jewish organization, right? No.
hey, it's America. We all pay money to Jewish people.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's all about the Benjamins, baby.
All about the Benjamins.
All about the Benjamites, baby.
I want to be here when this conversation is happening.
All right. Yeah.
Well,
Yasmine,
okay.
you're a terrific guest, and I'm not going to let Hatem off the hook. If next week he doesn't, listen, listeners, dear listeners, if next week, if you do not hear Hatem give us the entire quote from the Quran, you can be quite sure there's a reason.
Yes, you can be. And I am very happy to do a whole episode about
just the one quote will be sufficient.
Sure. Yeah, that you take a part of and didn't read the whole thing. It's fine. I think it's a healthy, and this is one of the things I actually learned when Ivera was very, very young, before Noam even was his dad, Manny. Like he used to debate all the time, but he would tell me, like, I'm going to talk to you about this, go read about it, read this book, and then we talk about it tomorrow. So I learned how and listen. And he used to do just one thing that bothers me. He's like, there is no absolutely way. This is the only way, but
that's what the Jewish Bible teaches us. But
that's the thing is, like,
it's not Judaism, Hatem. It's people.
I know. But again, like, at the end of the day, be human. Just help. It doesn't matter, So yeah, do you guys want to share your, where people can find you, follow you on social media? Brendon, you have anything coming up soon?
Yeah. I run a great show in out of a store on Thursdays, out of the Sunflower Glass Company. And you can check that out if you're in New York. It's at 220 Thompson Street. Pretty cool place. That show is a ton of fun. It's a really great time. It's at a weed store, so everybody's always really chill.
Really fun time.
You'll tell the joke, you'll hit the punchline, and then there'll be like a half second to a whole second before everybody starts laughing. You're like, there it is. I see. So that's fun on Thursday nights. But if you want to follow me on social media, I'm at Brendon freaking Lemon, Brendon with an O, Brendon freaking Lemon on TikTok. That's where you can follow my journey to get my 4 wives. You can check it all out there.
I'll come to all the weddings, Brendon.
There you go.
This is why I'm going to keep getting married, is because I just want to hear that vocal chocolate.
Noam, final thoughts?
No, I just I always hope that people are not upset by this stuff, and that people understand that. Well, me especially, but I'm sure even Yasmine, that we want to respect all people, and I understand that it's these are emotional things. People are products of their upbringing, and they're attached to things.
Absolutely. And I think if you react by emotions, I think you should take a moment, and recognize that and say like, okay, this was emotional, and then think,
Yeah. Don't be Will Smith.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm.
Don't get up and hit anybody.
Noam, you got to watch Chris Rock's special.
I really want to come back next week to talk about that.
OMG.
I'm serious.
All right, let's see. Yasmine, social media?
So I am on Instagram and on Twitter and also on Facebook at Yas Mohammed XX. And then I've also got a YouTube page, Yasmine Mohammed, Forgotten Feminist, where I speak to other women like me from all different religions, all different backgrounds, different cults. One woman is even from communist Russia, basically women who have overcome some kind of restrictive background and have survived and thrived. And so it's opportunities to listen to these women and to hear their stories and to celebrate them and to be inspired by them.
Are you friends with Ayaan Hirsi Ali?
Oh, absolutely. I work for her organization. Yeah.
That's cool.
I read, I can't say I read the whole book, but I read big parts of her book years ago. It was pretty amazing.
She's an amazing woman.
Yeah.
She's on the Al Qaeda hit list, but she still keeps going.
She married to that historian, Neil Ferguson. Right? Yeah.
That's
Niall
right.
Ferguson,
Yeah.
That's quite a hefty power couple there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any new book coming, Yasmine?
No, there's not a new book coming on the horizon, but I mean, I haven't announced it yet. But
Okay. All right.
Okay. Let me say. Do you want to say something else, Yasmine?
I was just going to say that the book is going to be about my organization, Free Hearts, Free Minds, and it's going to be the stories of the people that we've helped. And so that's going to be the focus.
And we will see you next week, inshallah.
Yes, and I think those part of the story, Yasmine, is not of your story. It's not getting enough.
I gotta go. Bye.
Yet.
You should have let it hang. That was a perfect ending.
Thank you, Hatem.
Okay, bye.